Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brian Dean from QuickSprout, and in this video I'm going to show you some advanced guest posting strategies. So let's say that you were looking for a site that you wanted to guest post on in the SEO niche. So you'd use this classic search string, SEO plus right for us. Now the first thing you want to do is get a feel to whether or not you can get a contextual link. Because in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion in SEO, Google is going to devalue links that are in an author bio area in a guest post. So if you're able to add your link in a contextual setting like this, it's going to be much more powerful over the long term. So when I read a Right For Us page, I like to see whether or not they're cool with that. And actually, this first result in Google says, can I add a link to my website or blog? Of course, as long as the target website is in context with the article or a business, then we have no problem sharing the link log. Now I've found that most sites are surprisingly cool with this as long as you're not trying to force in a spammy anchor text link. And this is really important because if you're getting 100% of your guest post links in author bio area, you're really wasting a lot of time. So that's number one. Try to get your link contextually. And if you're not sure here, when I send the article, I usually just put a contextual link in the article, and I've never had a guest post rejected, and I've published over 250 guest posts from doing that. So definitely try to get a contextual link. But also, you should evaluate whether or not it's even worth guest posting on a website. In another video, I go over how to evaluate a site's SEO value in terms of what a link will do for your site. But we're going to talk about some other things, particularly how much traffic you can get from that guest post and how much brand awareness you'll get from that guest post. And one way to do that is to use Alexa to estimate the traffic. Let's say that we wanted to guest post at QuickSprout. We could put QuickSprout into here. And keep in mind that Alexa is not super accurate. It's not the best indicator of traffic, but it's relatively accurate. And with Alexa ranking, actually the lower the better. So in this case, the global Alexa traffic rank for QuickSprout is below 5,000, which means of all the websites that they have in their index, which is basically every website, this is one of the top 5,000 websites on the earth, which means it's a tremendous, tremendous amount of traffic. So in terms of traffic, you'd be hard pressed to beat this, but you really want to go for an Alexa ranking less than 1 million at the very least, if you're looking for some traffic along with your guest post, which you should be. Now, an even better service, it's kind of new, is called SimilarWeb. And what SimilarWeb does is it gives you more detailed analysis. So in addition to the traffic, it tells you where the traffic is coming from. So use it the same way as Alexa. You go to similarweb.com, put in the domain name, click the magnifying glass button, and it shows you their rank for traffic. Okay, but what's more important is this area here, traffic sources. And why it's important is because it shows you how much traffic you're going to get in the short and long term. So for example, it says direct traffic is 42%. So those are people that directly go to QuickSprout using a bookmark or type it into their browser. And this is indicative of how much traffic you'll get in the few days following your guest post publishing. So if this is high, you'll get a lot of traffic right away because those people go directly to the site, they see your guest post, and they'll click through. Now this referrals are people that come from other links on the web, from non-social media sources, because they have another social media area here. And this is actually, you want this to be as low as possible because most referral traffic will not actually ever see your guest post, right? Search is something you also want high because that indicates how much long-term traffic you're going to get from that guest post. So over time, if you were to publish a guest post at QuickSprout and you keyword targeted it, because of the authority that QuickSprout has, you would get some search traffic to that guest post over time, and that would keep going to your site over and over again. So this is a good way to get more in-depth data to determine whether or not it's worth guest posting on a particular site. Now another way is to look at their Twitter following or whatever social media site is most prominent in that niche. In internet marketing, in most niches, it's Twitter. And obviously the more followers, the more reach they have. So that's very simple. Just look at the Twitter following. If they have 20 followers, you're probably not going to get a lot of traffic because even if they send out 10 tweets about your guest post, not a lot of people are going to come from Twitter. Another way to see how much social action basically every post gets is to use this tool called the Blog Social Analyzer. So just head over to Google, put in Blog Social Analyzer, and here you put in the RSS feed of the site. And the way to find that is you put in the homepage domain, so in this case you put in Quick Sprout, and choose feed. So I'll show you that URL here. So what you do is you put in the domain quicksprout.com/feed, okay? And that'll bring you their RSS feed. We'll show you the latest post. But what this tool does, and I'll show you how it works right here, is it shows you the social shares for each of their posts for their last, I don't know how many, looks like 40 or 50. So you get an idea of how much social traction your post is going to get. Obviously it depends on how good your post is, but this does give you a good idea on how much social traction you're going to get, which is important because that's how much traffic you're going to get. So if Neil shares it, it's one thing, but if 334 other people share it, that's obviously much better, right? And this is also important for SEO because as social signals become more important, this will influence how much social traffic your post gets over the long term. So this is a good way to check to see how much social shares you can expect to get your guest post. Next, a more simple way to look at how much traffic you're going to get is the number of comments on a post. So you can see here at the result that we looked at as an example, this post has 0 comments, this post has 1 comment, this post has 0 comments. So in general, I've found a really direct correlation between the number of comments in a post and how much traffic you get. And this is just indicative of how engaged people are on the site. So a lot of times you'll see a site that has a lot of traffic from referrals and social, but not many comments. And I've found that the click-through rate to my guest post, author bio link, or contextual link is very poor on a site that doesn't have many comments because the people that read the content aren't very engaged. Now next we're going to talk about how to find content that'll work well on that blog. And this is important for getting your guest post accepted, but also for making sure you get the most traction from your guest post. So again, this tool, Open Site Explorer, is so great because you can put in a domain and look at the top pages. Click on the top pages tab, and you can see what content tends to work best on the site. So how content length affects ranking and conversions, advanced guide to SEO, 51 creative business cards. And if you just look at this, you can see whatever piece of content has done well on the site. So when you send someone like Neil a pitch who gets tons of guest post pitches every day probably, you can say, hey, I want to write about whatever because I noticed that this other post that you wrote similar got 161 linking root domains or 500 tweets. And that shows that you've done some research, and it's also practical because when it gets published, you know that audience likes that type of content, and you're going to get more links and juice going through your link, and also more social shares, which will get you more traffic. Now, another strategy that's kind of like guest posting is becoming a regular contributor to a site. And this is something that SEO Jason Demers does a lot. He runs a SEO firm called Audience Bloom. And he's all over the place as a columnist. He's a columnist at so many authority sites. He does a great job of this. He's a contributor to Forbes. Now, if you were to search SEO plus write for us, Forbes would not come up, right? But because Jason, contacted them and said, hey, I would love to contribute content on a regular basis for you. Would that be okay? Not only does he get do follow links back to his site, but this post that he wrote got almost 12,000 views, which is amazing, and a lot of brand awareness. Now everyone sees Jason and say, oh wow, he's written for Forbes and all these sites, and all you have to do is get out there and pitch them. Okay, so there's a lot of authority sites that will happily accept contributions so they don't have to pay their writers. And if you can contribute quality content and commit to a monthly or bi-weekly publishing schedule, they'll happily take you on. But if you just want to do a one-off guest post, they're going to say no. So it's all about your approach. With these authority sites, you should want to approach them as a regular contributor. And actually, I'm a regular contributor to a few sites, including Search Engine Guide, which is a PageRank 7 homepage site with millions and millions of incoming links. And sure enough, here's my post here. Now, the great thing about this is that I don't have to keep emailing them with pitches and guest post ideas. Once you show them that you're going to publish quality stuff, they actually usually give you access to their content marketing software. You can go in and publish, and then you can link to whatever you want. Okay, so you're in the driver's seat. Every time you publish somewhere, you can link to an internal page or a guest post that you published, Or, I mean, you don't want to be spammy. You're in a kind of a contract, not technically, but you have an agreement with this site. They're going to publish good stuff, so you shouldn't look at it as just a way to get links to your content. But that's one advantage of being a columnist for a site, is that they usually are a little more liberal about your contextual linking. So in general, this is something that, don't take a lot of time to evaluate the traffic potential, but it's definitely something to look at, because as you know, it takes a lot of time to write a guest post and submit a guest post and go through the whole process. And if you want something new, something fresh, consider becoming a columnist to authority sites. It's hard for them to say no when you're saying, hey, every month I'll send you an awesome article. All I ask is a couple links back to my site. They'll usually say yes. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.